Hi everyone, Assalamu alaikum, all across the globe. We want to kick off with a special message that President of Pakistan recorded for us for the startup IT community all across the globe. We want to kick off with that, and then we will get to our guest today, who is Mr. Najeeb Ghauri, who's the CEO, the founder, and the chairman of NETSOL. Let me share the screen with the message from President of Pakistan.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. This year again, 2021 has come to a close with the effects of the pandemic taking its toll. But at the same time, one sector of the economy in Pakistan as well as throughout the world has boosted itself, and that is the IT economy. That includes a number of changes which have taken place in Pakistan, which is phenomenal, the change which is happening. And I believe there is a soft revolution going on in Pakistan. I believe the Pakistani media itself doesn't realize that there is a huge ability of these our youngsters acquiring software skills, our youngsters being able to show their products to the world, to indulge in e-commerce. It is happening at a very gigantic scale. Let me give you the numbers. For example, when we are building our resource, more than 22 lakh people, youngsters, took part in the DigiSkills Part 1 program. Out of them, 1.6 million passed, and out of those 1.6 million, there will be most of them will be going to the phase 2 of the digital skills program. Now, what is this doing? This is giving the tools to youngsters to be able to self-employ themselves in the international markets, to be able to develop software, to be able to start startups, to be able to market their goods not only in Pakistan, in everywhere where the economy is coming out of the pandemic. This is a remarkable change which is happening. And looking at that change, about our startups last year raised about $350 million. I don't think this is a small figure. These are individuals who performed well, and the foreign investors have looked at that. This is what we need to encourage. I spoke in the conference last year in September, in your conference, and I had prophesied that this is Pak startups the next best thing, and that prophecy has come true because it proved itself to be the next best thing. The $350 million which have come into Pakistan as investment is almost 5 times that has happened last year. So it is 5 times bigger, and 2 times, if all the 6 years of investment in Pakistan in startups can be accumulated, but this last year was double that. Now, this change is going to be exponential. This is not going to be a gradual linear change. The way you are seeing this change, that it is 6 times last year, the same exponential change will happen. So there is a lot of excitement, there's a lot of vibrancy among the youngsters, and something which is happening in parallel. There is ease of doing business. There's ease of registering companies in the Securities and Exchange Corporation of Pakistan. There is establishment of Special Technology Zone Authority, which acts like a magnet for foreign investors to invest. There's no need for them to purchase land, to invest, to come to start developing whatever software, whatever IT-related program, whether it's a matter of service, whether a matter of manufacturing. It has a 10-year income tax exemption, 10-year exemption on import of computers, hardware and software, and the ability that it's a one-window operation. In Pakistan today, if somebody wants to register a business and register a corporation, that can be done within the day. It has changed the ease of doing business. So what is being done is, everybody who's interested in doing something, the state is establishing roads, is establishing smooth transportation for ease of doing business, particularly in the IT sector. I believe that Pakistan is also in this coming year would be going towards the designing of semiconductors, chip design and chip assembly. I think that's the area which is something very important. There's major investment which is going to come in the coming year, because the need for people, for example, in the cyber security arena, the world needs, in the next 5 or 7 years, the world needs 80 million engineers or 80 million people who can help in cyber technology. Pakistan, the world does not have the people. Pakistan has the youth bulge to be able to lift itself into providing that service, because the cyber security situation also, for example, among so many IT areas, the cyber security area is also something which is expanding exponentially. Every hospital, every business, every government, every ministry needs cyber security. Besides that, there is a great change happening with the startups in health. The digitization of the economy, that's important. The ability to transfer money person to person, person to business, business to business, that is being cemented in Pakistan. And as we are talking about this new marketplace, I think there are possibility of 65 million users and buyers in Pakistan. Who can ignore this huge market? And this market is expanding every year. So I think the soft change, the soft revolution which is happening is going to be very big for the economy of Pakistan, and particularly for the youngsters in Pakistan. So work hard, open your area. Our women empowerment is essential, because women staying at home, raising their families, can take part in this digital economy. So thank you. Good luck. This year 2022 is going to be great again. Thank you very much.
Hi, everyone. This is Raheel Bodla, success coach. I'm one of the business coaches based in Silicon Valley, a member of Pak Launch. And we have our guest here, Mr. Najeeb Ghauri. We want to welcome him here. And we want to welcome all the people, audience of Pak Launch joining from all across the globe. We do this webinar every Sunday. And all of us, we join welcoming Mr. Najeeb Ghauri, who is the co-founder, chairman, and CEO of NETSOL Technologies Inc. He's a recipient of Sitara-i-Imtiaz by government of Pakistan. That's one of the highest civil award given to entrepreneurs. IPO in 1998. Mr. Najeeb Ghauri was the first person, it was the first IT company who had operations in Pakistan to be listed on NASDAQ. We still remember that day. We were looking forward to that. Wow, how amazing this is. And then NETSOL Pakistan got listed on Karachi Stock Exchange in 2005 as well. In terms of, it's one of NETSOL as actually one of the pioneers of Pakistani IT industry, and that's how it gave that shape to the whole industry globally. It shaped that globally. He has been nominated twice in US for Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year award, and he has been involved in a lot of philanthropic ventures in education. He has an MBA from Drucker School of Management, Claremont University. Let me stop share here and invite Mr. Najeeb Ghauri. Please, if you could talk about your personal journey, and then also talking about the NETSOL journey in terms of how everything shaped up together.
Well, thank you so much, Raheel, for this amazing introduction. I hope I deserve it, but I'm happy to be talking to all my friends all over social media and live. It is an interesting journey, absolutely. I came to the US at a very early age as a freshman in 77. And one thing I wanted to do in those days when I was thinking of coming to the US, I was really passionate and stubborn that I had to come to the US for my education. My family wanted me to go to the UK because my brothers were there, and coming to US was very far from Lahore. But I was persistent in my dream, and I was a daydreamer, day and night dreamer, to really come to the US and do something different with my life. So I succeeded in getting visas after 5 times rejection to get the visa, and came here, did my education, ended up in Claremont for my MBA. But I was very fortunate to have had 2 classes with Dr. Peter Drucker, who was the management guru at the time, and the experience was amazing to see that legendary professor and doctor who wrote so many books. So I studied 2 of his classes and did quite well, and he really was a big influence in my life at the time. So I finished my MBA in 1980, and then started a journey of typical, when foreign students come to the US, they go through the whole experience of college or dorms and doing some odd jobs, keep going. I did all that, so nothing new to my American friends. But I finished my MBA and then moved on to a corporate world. Um, I worked for 15 years, different organizations, particularly Unilever. I was the brand manager in the beginning part of my MBA was in marketing, so I chose to go into marketing. And I got hired by a major oil company, which was a shift from a marketing sales to a company which is now called British Petroleum, owned ARC, which was the company that I was working with. So Rahil, when I was doing well in my corporate career, but I realized something was missing, to be honest with you. And I was thinking one day back in 1996, this is after 15 years of career and 2 young kids and wonderful wife living in suburb of LA. I said, it's not good enough to just work for yourself. And yeah, fine, provider, middle class, you got everything that you want. But is this really uh, something that we can say, my God, I've done something to achieve? And I came to conclusion, no, it wasn't enough, because doing something for yourself is just not good enough for me. I came from a very giving family. My father, my parents were very giving people in the community and taught us that play a part in some way, in some fashion. And I didn't know clearly how this can really transform my decision to do something better or different. Interestingly, while I'm going through these thoughts back then, job was good, but not super happy with the job. I wanted to I developed a purpose at the time, and that if I can do something, Rahil, that would create opportunities.
Yes.
Believe you me, I was very raw at the time. Just straight corporate career, 10, 12 hours, did well, but again, it wasn't enough. A God sent opportunity came to me, was not by design, but by chance. I want to be very, very honest. And the opportunity was some American investors came to me and they said, look, we're looking for someone like you with at least an MBA degree background and maybe no experience in business world. Here's a little company. It has no business, but your job is to take it public, and we'll provide you the pre-IPO capital. Right. This is also kind of sharing my experience how we got into the public market, right? How we transition. And the idea was it looked pretty good from outside, but really, can it happen? Can I actually go through the IPO process that I had no experience in the corporate world or the capital market?
Yes.
So I was debating, for at least they give me 60 days to make a decision. And there's some time pressure and totally new for me. Never done, because I studied finance in my MBA, but that doesn't mean anything in this real world. So I talked to my lovely wife, and she gave me a lot of encouragement. I was actually impressed. She said, what are you going to lose? You're 40 years young. And if you fail, you go back to the job market again.
Yes.
But in my mind, when I switch failure was not an option for me. It's like burn your bridges, sink your boat, and move on with a passion and to succeed. Now I'm thrown into this unknown, uncharted territory. They gave me lawyers. They were the investors, small IT, rather investment banking boutique in LA. They had some seed capital, and they were looking for someone like me. So I said, okay, I'll take the chance. So I downsized myself because they said for 2 years you will have no income, zero income, and you have to live pretty much off your savings. So that was a tough decision to sell the house, move to a small apartment, and cut down expenses by almost 50%. That journey had to happen. Otherwise, if I had the same expenses and I have no job and trying this experiment, and if I fail, I don't want to be in trouble. So we thoughtfully made the decision, me and my wife, that we have to downsize. So we won't move to an apartment. I'm going to fast track this journey because then we have a lot to add. It took me 2 years. The process of SEC's approval cycle, and I was learning, to be honest with you, and learning through these lawyers and some CPA firms and a couple of bankers were guiding me. And I stumbled many times, made some mistakes because it was, again, a new thing for me. The beautiful thing about this whole IPO exercise was, that if you make it work, then there's an opportunity to lift the image of Pakistan. So now I have a challenge. I have a shell company. It's a small business, but there's no other business. And when we send the business plan and prospectus, they said, what is this? There's no business, and you're coming to us to have a approval to start trading. And that was a tough question to answer, of course. And so we really created a one-page summary, business strategy, high level, how we're gonna use the use of proceeds, the money we raised from the IPO. It was a small IPO, nothing major, but the idea was, it was the hardest thing. I think today I could not do it in today's environment. 22 years ago, 98 was a different time, and we sold them. They convinced and they allowed us to, they approved their listing, and then we moved from OTC Bulletin Board to, in 99, they moved us to the small cap NASDAQ. That journey began. And so in between, what I did was, which is the important part, now what do I do with the money? I've got a few million in the bank. How am I going to create a business opportunity and eventually ROI, return for the shareholders? So my instant idea was, one of the three things we had in our business plan, Raheel, was to invest in technology. What technology? I had no clue. Could be anything, right? But I was hearing and learning from my brother, Salim, that he had just started a software house in 96. Wow. And my two other brothers, Shahab and Naeem, and they were like small shop. And Salim has a technology background, so did Naeem. And my older brother, Shahab, had given the seed capital. So I said, okay, I told my partners, like, I have one option, that either you go to Pakistan to look for some investment opportunity. The other guy said, well, how about going to India? I said, well, let's go to Pakistan first. The guy, wow, know Pakistan better, I'm from Lahore, and I don't know about India, but we'll keep that as a second option. And we planned, we got the visa for India. So I took 3 Americans to Pakistan and sat down with Salim. And they realized that this is the family, looked very high integrity and hardworking young professionals. So we decided to invest in NETSOL Pakistan at the time. They used to be called Network Solutions at the time. So now we're coming to ending of this phase, and we invested all in all close to $100 million in cash and securities to make acquisitions. So by that investment, we became the first leading company at the time to be listed on US. And I thought there was a big achievement for Pakistan, because we were talking about Pakistan and youngster and talent in every forum, with investors and seminars and road shows. So we try to lift image that yes, we can be also trading in US and create opportunities. The idea was to really invest that money to create an ecosystem, which really did very well for us.
Yes. Absolutely. It was one of remarkable achievements, especially for shaping up the IT industry in Pakistan. And thank you for having a lot of, we have had a lot of engaging conversations. So I've had the privilege to be in those conversations with Mr. Najeeb Ghauri. So if you could talk about how's the IT industry of Pakistan is shaping up, like in terms of how it started, how it evolved, in terms of the IT industry as a whole getting the tax break. Could you please talk about that? That's very interesting. We want to share that with you all participants.
I have so many stories, Raheel, but I'll focus on your specific question.
Yes.
In 2001, it's been 5 years since the company was started in Pakistan, and then we were listed in 3 years since then at the time. So we had a fifth anniversary. We were small, we were growing because with the capital we put in from the IPO, we were growing and had a sizable infrastructure. So we invited then President Musharraf to be the chief guest, and they're hearing about NETSOL. There was a lot of buzz. .com time, stocks were flying, and it was so much madness about the Wall Street in Pakistan through NETSOL vehicle. And so Musharraf Saab came and he gave a speech. We were the pioneer company, one of the maybe 300 companies. There were very few companies at the time, maybe less than 300. We were one of the bigger ones in terms of export revenue. So at the end of his speech, he asked me, he said, Najeeb, so what can I do for you? I said, no, sir, you can do something for the IT industry. And we had a prepared ask what we're going to ask the president to help us. So I said to him in the stage, minister was sitting, the Taliban was sitting, and I said, why don't you give incentive to the new wannabe doing business in Pakistan from overseas and give them tax holiday so that we build, it's a new industry. It's not like textile or this is a young nascent industry and there are only a few handful companies. So you give them incentive. So he said, how many years? I said, well, how about 10 years? They wanted 15 years. You know, it was crazy. Wow. And live audience and media was watching. So he took that decision and that really boosted the whole industry because it evolved from an industry which has full, taxes and everything. And they realized that this is the way you can expand the whole industry. So we obviously benefited because our business is 100% export revenue. So we were shipping our software all over 28 countries, but it grew the industry. The landscape changed, more hiring, more companies came in. And when I say today, you know it, the startups revolution and even companies like myself and others, TRG system, many others have grown leaps and bounds, and thousands of new jobs have taken place. So I think landscape has grown, ecosystem is growing, a lot of exposure in the Western market, particularly in the US, thanks to some of you guys who are active in the open forum and other forums exposing Pakistan technology. And I believe one thing, and I say that with a lot of pride, the talent of Pakistan IT is second to none.
Yes.
I say it with conviction because we have offices in 9 countries, including China, US, UK, Europe, Australia, and Thailand. We have all kind of people. They are very good people. But as Mr. President just जो बात की अभी President साहब ने कि इतनी जो young population है, ये हमारा future है. So I believe the talent in every skill set, every new thing that is happening in Pakistan, whether it's AI, blockchain, mobility, cloud, you name it, we have all those skills, and Pakistan is growing with that capability. So I think very bright future for the youngsters in Pakistan, and our job is to continue to offer opportunities, continue to show them that there is a major paradigm shift from .com. Now the technology is a real technology boom right now, which the whole world is benefiting.
Absolutely. Interestingly, you talked about the .com and you mentioned in your talk that the stocks were flying. So can you talk about that, especially the .com boom and like did NETSOL get to like $1 billion valuation and everything? Can you talk about the scenario? Especially what we are doing through our Park Launch webinars is providing that guidance and advice to these budding entrepreneurs that what would a CEO like yourself would think and go through at that point in time? Would they take some easy exit, or like would they shape up some vision? Like, what's your take on that?
Interesting question. I get this asked this question by my investment bankers that if we got some money out. But first thing I want to say with the early part to answer your question is, I think any entrepreneur, whether myself or you others who are listening, must have clearly defined objective, right? Is it short term or is it long term, right? Short term means if you have an opportunity, you exit, and that's fine. People do that, and then they put money elsewhere, right? Ours was always long term from
Yes.
day one. When all my two other brothers, Salim and Naim, they all had professional careers, right? Corporate career in Australia and UK, and I'm in US. So we said we will do something for long term, the next generation, right? And they need opportunity. That is the purpose of life. So when our stock ran up to $80, interestingly, it was my birthday, March 2nd, by the way.
Yes.
I don't know what that means, but it was $1 billion for the wrong reason. I'll be honest with you. We had very small revenue and we were losing money. It was basically .com madness. We were offered very tempting offer by Merrill Lynch, who was holding our 6 million shares. I was a custodian, and they offered me $100 million for
Wow.
20% of my stock. Take it and do what you want to do.
Wow.
It was tempting, quite frankly. I mean, a lot of money at that age. Talked to my brothers, and collectively, we decided no, we're not going to take the money because if we took the money and the margins call happened, whole thing finishes. But that was not our vision. Our vision was to invest in the technology. And it is an amazing satisfaction that we've been able to hire thousands of youngsters from all over Pakistan and abroad because we created an institution by keeping this company alive. And there were temptations many times, but we never did. We never sold shares. So I think the idea was to really create an opportunity ecosystem and give it back to our home country, Pakistan.
Absolutely. That's awesome. Exactly, exactly. That's what the vision of an entrepreneur is, that we follow a vision. We are chasing vision, not money, and money would follow definitely because there's a lot of value that the entrepreneurs are creating. Great. So with this, especially in terms of what we have been seeing in the global landscape and global investors like getting all that interest in investing in Pakistani IT industry, what would you, as our pioneer, as one of the senior entrepreneurs, what would you share with the young entrepreneurs? Like, how does the future look like of Pakistani IT industry? What do you foresee? What could be opportunities? What are the challenges? I think that'll be very valuable with our audience.
Very good. I will just give a color of what my company do exactly, right?
Yes.
And how it evolved from an enterprise solution to now new technologies in last 20 plus years. So we are a global fintech company, IT solution provider for leasing and finance business. And our business are in Asia Pacific. China is the biggest market, US and Europe. And we support $300 billion worth of transaction from Pakistan. I say that with my passion and pride and joy. From Pakistan, Lahore, that is the hub, that is the new IT destination of offshore development, new apps, new tools, new technologies, software engineering. I mean, you name it. It is all there. If we created a global company which has presence in 9 countries with different offices and customers in 28 countries, what does that tell you? It tells you that we have highest capable programmers, engineers, smartest, lot smarter than I am. I'm a generalist. These guys are specialists, architect, designer, programmers, mobility, cloud. I mean, you name it. So entrepreneurs who want to use the same platform, you have access. I'm part of NUST in some way, as you know, other colleges, elementary school, universities. The shift is happening in a major way. When you have a country, a consumer economy, as Mr. President Trump already said, 60% are new millennials in their 30s, right?
Yes.
Girls and boys. They are the future. They need guidance. They need people like us showing them ideas, and they're smart. They're gifted. They have the neck. I still trying to figure out email, but my young boys born with the technology.com time, right? And they know it. So we have a landscape. The government is doing a great job. I mean, I'm part of a monthly meeting with the President of the South IT facilitation, and I
Awesome.
think Ellie is also part of it. They ask to share with them our challenges, and they try to respond to us. Government is very progressive. They want to create economic zone, which you just mentioned. Don't have to buy property, but bring infrastructure, hire people, create opportunities. So the new entrants are looking into Pakistan. Ease of doing business, we feel it too. We have a lot of companies in Pakistan. People travel from Pakistan to US, other places with our visas. They get exposed in the international market. People who come to Pakistan, they can do many different things. New technology is like running with you. Look at AI. You don't have too many skill sets in Pakistan AI. We had three of them from MIT, by the way. You know some of them.
Wow.
So I think there is enough skill set, enough sizable landscape. What we need is more graduates, quality graduates, not just degree holder, but what are we doing as companies and as a government to create skill development programs? And I think President talked about it in different forums, and I appreciate what they're doing. So I think entrepreneurs can really look at Pakistan as a place where cost arbitrage is huge, right?
Yes.
Of course, dollar is strong and it's not good for the local population, but you have the ability, your dollar worth a lot Pakistan. Investment ke liye bhi, and also bringing younger graduates into your businesses. Show them the opportunity, bring the ideas from US, take them all over wherever they can go, and direct them, navigate them. Because in this business right here, passion is everything. Integrity, your faith in your
Yes.
journey. We have done it. I'm sure others can do it because I was a lot weaker in my knowledge, but thank God we were able to create a business with the family's help and all together. It's an institution, and the next 25 years for NETSOL and the IT will be magnificent. It has to become a much bigger player in the not even in Southeast Asia, but in the global map for the skill set we have.
Absolutely. That's so awesome. So we are getting Ali Fahad is actually consolidating the questions coming from the audience. So one of the interesting question came up is that how do we know that an idea is a good one, and how do we know if a startup is a $1 billion idea? So at the idea stage, what would you share with these budding entrepreneurs that how to evaluate the idea on the maybe the execution is not there yet, but the idea is there. So how do you see that?
It's a very tough question because it is no one knows, right? We know Bill Gates and Zuckerberg drop out from Harvard, look where they are, right? We know Jeff Bezos and Teslas, and those are rare stories. We see the good stories. We don't see the company who don't make it to the drawing board, right? It's a sometimes it's based on your best information and knowledge. If you're a specifically professional in some area that you feel, oh my God, I am very good at that. I work for this company 10 years. Maybe I can replicate in a different way, right? When we had the idea, we had no guarantee for success.
Yes.
When I left my job, I said, I had no guarantee. So I was mentally prepared, but I didn't want to fail. So you can vet an idea, involve specialists, and some gut feeling, some faith. But more importantly, ideas are great, but can you actually execute it?
Yes.
Can you make it work? Can you create an opportunity? Can you create an ecosystem? Can you create excitement where you can hire people? And believe you me, these days, like the VCs have generated close to $370 million last calendar year, does tell you
Wow.
a lot of ideas coming out, right? So I think it's very easy to get an idea, but the hardest part is to execute,
Yes.
to raise money, get the ideas, in the right people hand to build it up and then roll it out. But it's challenging. I mean, it's not easy. But the main thing is, can you really execute? Do you have the appetite? Are you afraid of failure? Don't be afraid of failure. Failure is not a bad idea. It makes you stronger. I've failed many times. Believe me, many times. Adversity, yes, you should be strong enough to face the adversity. In the face of adversity, can you survive? If you have the patience and the long-term perspective, you will achieve your mission. You will achieve your goal.
Awesome. Absolutely. Exactly as you shared with all these budding entrepreneurs that it's all about the execution. How is the idea? Do we have the strength to execute or not? So in that regard, you got an interesting question regarding the execution and the team. So Mr. Ghauri, were you lucky that you had your brothers with you, or like in terms of the co-founders and the team, like what would you like to share, like from the idea stage to the team in terms of that execution? We would love to learn from your advice.
Single biggest common denominator and reason for success is the people, the team, right? You can, like I said, you could be the best visionary, you could be daydreamer, but you don't have a team, or you don't have a good team that really understand the business and have that passion and have that ability to be part of this success that could change their lives too, right?
Yes.
My brothers, I'm lucky, very lucky. My father wanted us to be together, and it's one of the few story in the U.S. In Pakistan. I speak in UCLA Family Business Forum in the MBA class, and in one forum there were a lot of families run business, and they had common answer, mutual answer that it helps you because you can have credibility and integrity, but then it has to grow, right? Vertically and horizontally has to grow. So I think people is most important to have the right team in place, give them the ownership, give them the empowerment, delegate them, and let them execute. You are the visionary, you're the driver, you keep doing the big thing, big picture. But the real work, the backbone of our company are people, whether it's my brothers or my nephews or 2,000 other youngsters worldwide. It is just that. You're the right team, you can achieve whatever you achieve in your life.
Awesome, absolutely. Very interesting coming up, questions coming up in consolidating by Ali Fahad. One of them is actually that what would you like to share as an advice to your younger self? If you go back few years, multiple decades, what would you like to share with yourself the advice, what you could have changed, or in terms of how would that have shaped the journey of yourself and the journey of NETSOL?
I think I was very patient, and I came from a I lived in Gulberg when I grew up in Lahore, middle class family, and Alhamdulillah, my parents gave us great life. But coming to the US coming to America was not an easy thing to settle down and go through all kind of experiences and challenges. You're lonely, you're short of money, you're doing too many things, nobody's around you except the new friend. I was patient and I became very focused. I was very committed that something has to happen. I didn't know what. The youngsters of this generation or who are exploring to go in different places for education, I can learn from one thing from people like myself is belief in yourself
Yes.
is important, right? If you believe in yourself, then nothing can stop you. If I were to go back 3, 4 decades, I think perhaps I would have taken more knowledge on the technology side. But the technology didn't exist at the time, quite frankly, in 80s and early 90s until we started to grow up and we saw. So I think there was nothing different I could have done, except that maybe I could have learned a little bit more on the US business technology then I was ready. And because I suffered. There was a shareholder attack in my company because the price was going down, and we fought that battle out. Those are the challenges you go through, different nature in your business ventures. So I think the best learning is you gotta be determined, you gotta be passionate, you gotta have a dream, and you have to stay focused. Don't just quit if you fail. Keep going, because eventually if you have the right idea in play, you will get it. You'll get it done the way you want it
Yes.
to. Have a strong heart to make it work. Not just, oh my God, take time and think long term. Trust me. Because there are few short-term opportunities, short-term gain. And that to me, I call it pure tukka lag gaya, like pure luck, fluke. Orderly, if you plan your life, you can create opportunity not just in the business, but philanthropy. You can invest in the future of these youngsters who need help in education. So that's how the purpose of life develop in the right way. And then you feel much better about life. Look, I'm doing something that is helping many others.
Wow, exactly. Very interesting, as you mentioned, helping many others. Like I have witnessed, I have had the good fortune to be in touch with you since last 7, 8 years, and I saw you participating in a lot of those philanthropic ventures, like in especially talking about NUST, National University of Science and Technology in Islamabad in Pakistan. You have been helping hundreds of those education of those engineering students and other disciplines too. Can you talk about like how does the philanthropic aspect connect with being that entrepreneur to see that change and make that change happen? So we would love to learn from you.
When you're in business, you have thousands of people. Each one of them have family situation. And in Pakistan, people are coming from middle class or some smaller towns, and they have their struggles, right? And we were learning all that. Everyone has challenges, and we try to guide them, navigate them, and any way we can help, we help them. That evolved in my thinking about 20 years ago, back in 2000 exactly. Although when I came to Pakistan, US from Pakistan, my family was quite giving family in many, many ways. My father built schools in Bahawalpur and sewing machine poverty alleviation for helping. So
Wow.
I think if we have ability, God has given ability and a generous mind, heart, we have the responsibility to share. We have obligation to share. And if I don't do it, that money is going to go somewhere, but maybe not for the right reason. If your wealth is helping many people, one person is making money or getting college degree from NASDAQ or LUMS, imagine that person can change life of 6 to 10 per people in his household, right? I have people, son of office boys, but the
Wow.
IQ is so high. We will send them to LUMS. They get accepted in LUMS or IBA. I have cases in Dil schools that we're very deeply involved. Just two months ago, a younger who went to Karangi slums with Dil. Four of
Yes.
them went to Dil. Her sister is now in IBA. Now, what does that tell you? Intelligence is a God-given thing. Opportunities is different from each person, right? Our job collectively, if we have the ability, we all have the ability, but we have to have the willness, the willpower to
Yes.
use the ability to change other people's life because it is absolutely important. It is in our religion, it is also in our culture that we have to play a part. And this is how, in US, you know it, every hospital, every university have Jewish American named as endowment, right? Benefactors. What does that
Yes.
tell you? They give it back. And
Yes.
every university you name it, they give endowments. And they use those endowments for scholarships, and even in school. So I think it is a global phenomena. It is a happening for a century. It is my responsibility, our responsibility to share in this way to educate them, make them, don't give them fish to eat, but give them how to fish,
Yes.
right? So to me, it's important. It's a basic principle of life in my view. And I think I feel, and I sleep very good about it. I feel great about it. And all of us, my brothers, my family, and everybody in the company, a part of the noble cause that they give from the Provident Fund to help many others in Pakistan.
Absolutely, exactly. And I would love to share that with the audience as well. Mr. Najeeb Ghauri has actually created seats in the name of his parents' scholarship, and like those are like perpetuity. Somebody would come, complete their degree program in 4 years, and would go, and it will keep going in perpetuity. And one after another, like hundreds of students are getting that benefit. So thank you for doing that. One interesting thing, as you mentioned about your father, you mentioned about your family, and we get this question from the entrepreneurs as well, like how to balance the family part with the business part and still stay focused. What did you learn from your family that you would like to share and that help you to do amazing in business?
Oh my God, parents is just such a wealth of, I think, impact in our life, influence on life. I mean, imagine we have seven brothers and sister. They went through, they went through all kind of challenges raising up, right? And my father was a very determined man. Without any college education, he became very successful. And so he brought same value in us that family is very, very important, right? If you respect and if you appreciate what your parents have done for us, who we are today, after Allah is our parents. That's exactly what I feel. And the business part is simply more important because if you create a good business, whether you're a startup or you got hired or you just became a big part of the company or whatever, that has to translate into making a big difference in the society. You commercially, of course, number one is if you do well commercially, it has to make money. You have to make sure that your bottom line is strong, your margin is healthy, your revenues are growing, and you're growing your organization. That is the number one thing. If you do that successfully, everything else is easy to take care of, right? But if you're weak and you stagnant, you're not able to run a good business, then you're not going to be able to take care of your parents or your community. So I think to me they are interrelated. Respect for parents, appreciation for what they've done, and the prayers they give us. It is just mind-boggling, mind-boggling.
Awesome, awesome, excellent. Such a great gems of advice that we are getting from you. Interesting questions coming up by that consolidation is one of them asking about like, can you share what are the interesting ideas that you are researching on and NETSOL is researching on, some of the interesting projects in the pipeline?
Okay, few things I cannot say because they're not public information. But we are exploring as a private business venture into metaverse. I think Fadan talked to you on some occasion because it's a private venture, so I can talk to you about it. And so it is very tempting. We are investing our time and our money. But I think what is the shift is in the technology is the mobility, right?
Yes.
Or SaaS or cloud. I mean, you look at in the US last 10 years, all the big players are in the SaaS and cloud and mobility. So we are creating a new platform of mobility in the US. There's so many different apps you can do. Sometimes you come with the craziest idea and it become a biggest sell. I think any idea can be a good idea. I have a bunch of them. I believe anything you want to do, you have the apps, new tools, new technologies. With a little tiny investment, you can create a big, I think, platform, right? So use your ideas, explore, learn from these growth, do a lot of research, a lot of, thanks to internet time and Google, you find so much information out there. And sometimes follow the leaders because you can, maybe you don't have to have a brilliant idea, follow something, you find some niche. In our business, we found a niche, and that was a captive finance companies would need our solution, and they would spend tens of millions of dollars. Even a big company like SAP could not do it. But we found it because we had the ability to use our best talent in Pakistan from offshore landscape. It worked for us. But there's many ideas. But these days, of course, it's all about digital, all about mobility, all about cloud, and you name it. So it could be unlimited ideas, but focus yourself, vet it out, and then bring some investment. Last but not the least, if you want to be an entrepreneur, do it the way I did it. Burn your bridges. If you're if you are in too कहते हैं कश्तियों में सवार हो तो नहीं बनेगा. You have to take a risk. If you're young, right? I was a lot older than you are right now, and we tried, and maybe I was very lucky that it happened. But I think our niyat was very clear, intention was very clear that we will not cheat anybody, we will not take advantage, we will not exit. Who would say no to $100 million at a very young age, right? We did. And we're very proud of it because we created an institution. Otherwise, if you were taking the money today, you wouldn't know me. There would be no NETSOL, right? So think long term, and please, I beg you, make a difference in Pakistan's landscape. The government needs us. We don't need them, but they need us to make the difference. And this is exactly all the companies who are doing business in Pakistan. I'm so proud of them. And I meet all of them. I don't treat them as a competitor. I treat them as a colleague, as a friend, with the same mission, same purpose in life to create. Why can't we have millions of technology IT people in Pakistan? We should look at the diversity. We have 40% young women in the company. They're smart. They have equal opportunity, equal intelligence. Maybe I tell my girl that you guys smarter than the boys, and they say, "Thank you, sir." फिर नाराज होते हैं क्या करें सर? नहीं, fact is fact. Let's be real. So all I'm saying, youngster, please play a part in this revolution. Be part of this revolution or evolution. Be part of this paradigm. And then when you are in 50, 60, you'll say, wow, look what I've done. Look what the lives we have changed by giving the business opportunity, by helping them, giving them tools to work on what you need them to work on. Then sky's the limit.
Yes, absolutely. Sky's the limit. Wonderful, as you've already shared with us, like focus, have belief in ourselves, have that patience so that to see, put that hard work together to see that fruition. Absolutely. One question that we got from the audience is that what's your favorite productivity hack for yourself and for the team? Like, how do you ensure that productivity in your work as a top leader of the company and your overall company wide as well?
Well, I personally have some good habits. I am an early bird, as you know, and I sleep early and I get up early. I always have a list of things to do. Very focused, 10 pointers. I learned this many, many years ago, and it keeps me very focused, small or big. That the day has to be full of productivity, right? Personal or business or my employee or my team. Second thing is, I think we also have to continue to educate our employees. Like in our company, Rahil, when we hire somebody, we have a 12 weeks program,
Wow.
grooming, development, these kind of things. And so we show them, it's a very professional organization. My brothers, my other senior leaders, we show them how to be more effective. I think time is money. If we wisely plan our things, our day or week or month, you can do a lot of things, but be very focused. And sometimes people want to do 10 different things and they got little done. You want to do a few things and get a lot done,
Yes.
right? So to me,
Yes.
productivity, efficiency, being nimble, being, uh, to be more direct focus and exactly what you want to achieve, I think it gives you like more productive, more economy of scale. Everything comes to a problem when you know what you want to do and how and when you want to do it.
Absolutely. That's awesome. Excellent. Uh, Another question is like in terms of what would you share as lessons learned from your life and business journey overall? Some of the lessons learned.
I was very young when I got became CEO of public company after we went through the IPO. I was learning a lot. When the dot com business was booming and the pricing, it crashed around middle of 2000, as you know. The bubble burst and the market collapsed, and a large shareholders group came after me and they're pushing me to move the stock price. I know no one could do. Even Bill Gates could not change his stock price at the time, right? So there was a proxy fight, turned ugly. They didn't have the vote. We had a 70% ownership, so they couldn't throw us out. But then they waged an ugly fight, which is probably the only story I can tell you in America where you have a not a hostile proxy, but a forced takeover of a company, which they did. They broke into my head office in Calabasas because they were so desperate. So the lesson I learned was, and we won the battle. We went to the court and we won. There's a history out there, but then we were affected badly for the business for 2 years. We came back and put our company together. The lesson was, I think, when you're a public company, because my experience in most public company is that you have to be very close to your shareholders and investors, right? You can't share all the information as long as it is not public, but you have to be very close to them and keep the confidence going. Always stay in touch with them. As your company grow, if you become public company, that is a big. They could be your biggest friend or could be your biggest enemies. So I learned a hard lesson, and touch wood since then in 20 years we've been able to manage our shareholders very well, and there are many other lessons, but this is one of the biggest one. And the second thing I think uh, in our company's history, like they say, a cat has 9 lives.
Yes.
And so NETSOL had more than 5, 6 times we could have really. But every time we stumble, we became stronger. Because what have we learned from the lesson? What happened? Why did it happen? Whether it's a commercial reason or a business reason or a wrong acquisitions or M&As or maybe the regulators in oppression, all kind of thing happen. And remember, public company is not an easy thing to do,
Yes.
to maintain. It takes a lot of nerves and courage. You have to have a good corporate team, which we have. So lesson learned, how you apply, you must apply the mistakes so you don't repeat them. But failing or failure is not a bad thing as long as we learn something from it. But if you keep failing with the same thing, then something's wrong and you're not waking up. You have to wake up. But don't be heartbroken. Oh my God, I lost money and I made a mistake. No, no, no. This is a journey the journey has ups and downs in our personal life, in our professional life.
Absolutely. That's awesome. So a lot of our audience connecting with Pak Launch are their members overseas. Like, what would you like to share with, especially with the diaspora, the Pakistanis who are settled elsewhere? Like, how do they see the tech in Pakistan? Like, if they see that the time is right for making that investment, like, what would you like to share, especially with the Pakistani diaspora?
Thank you for asking the question, because that is my passion. I'm just, I don't spare any forum or window not to address to our friends all over the world. Look, when our founders of Pakistan founded in 1947, and the struggles of Pakistan, we all know, some have been around at that time, some came in 50s and 60s, and today's generation, we were struggling as people and families. And those of us who came to US or Europe or other countries or Australia, I've got a lot of people, friends, all these countries. I think there are two things we have to keep in mind. One is, can I create opportunity for myself in Pakistan with the money I've saved or money I can raise from the US? That's the number one thing. Because if you're strong, if you don't need an oxygen, you're healthy, then you can take care of others. So you need to be financially and mentally strong. The second thing is, bigger question is, what is my responsibility as a Pakistani American or as a Pakistani British or Pakistani Australian? What is my responsibility? I know a lot of people they don't care, and I embarrass them politely. I embarrass them very politely. I give the message, but in a very respectful way. Nobody can talk in front of me negative thing about Pakistan. I say to them, if you don't have any positive, don't talk anything. So the diaspora has to see a phenomenal revolution taking place in Pakistan right now in this state. Don't look at, yes, challenging time for Pakistan. Yes, absolutely. Not everything perfect in America. Not everything perfect in other parts, right? But Pakistan is our home country. We were born there. We understand the culture, we understand the people, and we understand the good, bad, and ugly.
Yes.
Right? So when we know everything, it's easy to get a footprint there. So I think either you start doing outsourcing, either you start using your network within your jobs you're doing. Remember why India is so big. You all know it, but I'll recap it.
Yes.
Why is it 30, 40 biggest companies are headed by the Indians? And then I know a lot of them in different jobs, and they're good people, great people. But what are they doing? They're taking everything to India.
Right.
That's exactly who they are. And other day, investors have asked me, I said, what do you think about having an office in Silicon Valley? I said, yes. Set up an office there. So I think diaspora has the responsibility and the ability to do something in Pakistan. Bring your friends along, bring your family along, be part of that ecosystem, be part of that something big happening.
Yes.
Like mad money, it will follow. Money will follow. But if you use your own people and work with them and show them that you can be interested in Pakistan's growth and success and prosperity.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Najeeb Ghauri. It was such a great pleasure, and we had a lot of opportunities to learn from you. Absolutely. We want to thank the audience, all the people who joined our webinar. And with this, we want to conclude our session. Pak Launch is a online community, and what we are doing is that we are connecting Pakistani talent all across the globe, and so many global people as well, and they are actually helping us as well. So absolutely, as Mr. Najeeb Ghauri mentioned, that be part of the community, to help the community, to help the country. Absolutely. With that, we want to conclude. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Najeeb Ghauri. Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you all. God bless you. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.